In 2008, a horror game titled Demonophobia appeared on a file sharing site. Released as a freeware, it gained popularity among horror game enthusiasts for its high difficulty level and lack of guidance, forcing the players to often repeat scenario to avoid getting killed. But this is not the reason why it's popular. You see, this game is disturbingly violent and gory. Sunday, March 12, 2023. Reddit user necessary_windows_960 made a post in r/horrorgaming subreddit. Does anybody still remember Demonophobia? Pretty disturbing game. I have been wondering if there's any new leaks and stuff regarding this game. In that discussion thread, he gave a link to another Reddit user which redirects them to a download site in GameJolt. The description tells a bit more of the game. Sakuri Kunikai, a 14-year-old Japanese schoolgirl, lives in a modern world and never believed in supernatural thing. One day, she found a book about black magic and decided to perform a demon summoning ritual just out of interest. The ritual worked, but as a result, Sakuri herself got trapped in a horrible world of demons.
How much time has passed? My eyes just got used to the darkness, so I can finally see my surroundings. I'm in a stone room, small, cramped, and dark. It is gloomy and unpleasant. I should be in my own room, in my own bed, sleeping under my warm and cozy blankets. Why am I in this creepy place? If I don't leave quickly, I need to go swiftly. There is a voice telling me, if I don't act, nothing will change.
The game begins with Sakuri waking up in a dark stone room with no way out, no doors, no windows. This is a claustrophobia's worst nightmare. Red stain is seen on the floor. It could be blood, but who knows. Eventually, Sakuri will find a tiny glowing thing on the floor which needs to be pushed to reveal the exit to this room. But how do we do that? Well, let me explain. Sakuri can only move left, right, and down. Pressing X will enable Sakuri to run, but you have to time it well because she has the stamina of someone who has never run in her entire life. She can crawl by pressing down and moving left and right, useful in some puzzle if you value your life, and most importantly, pressing R will restart the game whenever you die. Keep in mind of that R key because we will talk about it again later. Stepping outside, we are greeted with more blood on the floor and a weird bird-like creature hovering above. Attempting to move past it will make the creature attack her. Terrified by this, Sakuri went back into the room for safety, but little did she know, the room is now filled with crawling monsters. As it attached itself to Sakuri, slowly it devoured her until eventually, nothing was left. This is our first death. Earlier in the video, I mentioned this game is disturbingly violent and gory. Well, consider this first death as your last ever non-violent death scene because what we're going to experience after this is far worse than being munched to death. Eventually, we reach the end of the hall and another glowing object can be seen at the end. As usual, Sakuri picks it up, but then, crawling down to get the item, we obtain an old key. This will unlock the door in the hallway. Stepping inside, we are now in a green room and more blood can be seen on the floor. In this hallway, the crawlers are back, but luckily there's a room she can go in. Inside this room, something is glowing on a pedestal at the end. The only way to get past this is by running, since the trap will activate under pressure and running won't do that. I don't know how that works, but it works and she picks up a crystal. This crystal can be inserted into a round slot on the wall at the end of the hallway. Once inserted, a door appears. It seems like this is the exit. Entering it, Sakuri sees a door in the distance and started to run towards it. But just as she's about to run, a tentacle appeared from the ground and above. This is the first stage boss, Leviathan, a creature with red tentacle that would appear on the ground and on the ceiling. Terrified by this, Sakuri attempts to run, which is a bad idea because a tentacle appeared and strangled her to death. There is no other way. She has to walk because this boss is sensitive to sound. Carefully navigating her way through the hallway while avoiding this tentacle, Sakuri reached the end of the hallway with two pathways. Entering the one on the right, we are in a new area. An area filled with blood stone wall. Sakuri picks the room with blood marking on the door and enters it. Inside, she found a hexagram symbol placed onto a pedestal. As she attempted to leave after taking the item, a large, tall, red creature with no eyes appeared and grabbed her by the head. It wasted no time and punched her repeatedly through the stomach. The repeated punch made Sakuri throws up. The creature is not done yet as it grabs her again and punched her in the face non-stop. She begged for it to stop, yet it didn't, and continued on until her face was unrecognizable, to which at that point, she's no longer alive. Maybe going into the room was not a good idea, at least without preparation. Exploring the hallway on the right path, Sakuri came across a carefully hidden door which took her into a room with a badly dismembered body on a table and skins nailed onto the wall. One look and we can tell that the skin belonged to the person on the table. She didn't have time to react though, as something was approaching. She quickly hid underneath the table, and just as she did that, the figure appeared. Wielding a giant axe, the figure slowly approached the table and dismembered the corpse again and again, like a butcher. Sakuri could not do anything except cower in fear. After a while, the butcher left and Sakuri was left to wonder if that is her fate if she was ever caught by that thing. Entering the hole under the table, Sakuri arrived in a room filled with blinking light. Carefully moving when the light blinks off or else she'll get impaled to death, she picked up a strange triangular stone, not knowing that this is one of the items she needed to get the hexagram symbol from earlier. As she wandered off in the far end of the left hallway, she came across a small opening, small enough for her to crawl into. This took her into a small room with a pedestal at the end that requires a triangular stone. After inserting the stone, she obtained a sealed hexagram, similar to the ones before, except this one can be used as a substitute for the real one. Sakuri wasted no time and returns to the room. This time, she came prepared. With the sealed hexagram, she carefully placed it after taking the red hexagram. It should be fine. The tall red humanoid creature appeared again, nearly grabbing Sakuri had she not crouched down in fear. The creature disappeared before reappearing again. This is the second stage boss, Satan, and he locked the exit. Sakuri is now trapped in a small room and must survive for 40 seconds. Okay, just a side note, this is where I believe things start to become much harder, and I know this because in this stage alone, I spent nearly 2 hours trying to beat it. Around the 25-second mark, Satan's movement become unpredictable and fast. And if you survive that part, around the 12-second mark, he'll start spamming death beam from his waist. This caught me off guard a lot of time, and the only way to avoid it was to crouch down. When you finally defeat him, he'll try to take you out with him by releasing a huge death beam that is unavoidable. But thankfully, in that moment the timer is up, the door is open and you are free to go. It's a hard boss fight, but frankly, I would rather do this one instead of the later level because trust me, after this, you're gonna appreciate how forgiving the Satan boss fight is. After narrowly escaping that, Sakuri ponders on how long things will go on. She misses her parents and just wanted to go back home. Just as she was lamenting her fate, a voice spoke out of nowhere.
If you wish to leave, you must continue to go forward.
The voice belongs to a blue ghost. No, don't come near me. I've had enough.
Pipe down. I won't hurt you.
This, I don't believe you. You just want me to let my guard down and then you will kill me and eat me.
You don't believe me? Well, that's only natural. I know a way to leave. Are you still unwilling to trust me?
I see. I just don't know what to do. Tell me, what can I do to return? I want to go back right now.
Right now? I'm sorry to say that going back right now is impossible. If you wish to leave, you must first go to the deepest level of this labyrinth. The problem is, if you wish to go there, you will need to deal with the devils. You've seen that giant worm and that red giant, haven't you? Those are the devils.
There's still like 5 of those things?
That is correct. You must exterminate them.
Can I return here when I want to?
Of course! You can do so anytime. See this pattern on the floor? It's called a magical seal. Those beasts are unable to enter a room protected by...
I understand. What's your name?
Me? Call me Ritz.
There's a lot of information here. The blue ghost introduced himself as Reese. Yes, I know the game called him Ritz, but in the original Japanese text he's called Reese, so I'm sticking to that name. Reese told Sakuri that if she wanted to leave this place, she had to go to the deepest part of this labyrinth. She also learned that the monsters she encountered so far are devils, and there's 5 more of them that she needed to kill in order to leave this place. This fits so well with the names of the previous 2 bosses she encountered, Leviathan and Satan. Finally, Reese assured her that if her room has this seal, she is safe from any danger. Simple, right? Kill the remaining bosses to leave the place? Well, easier said than done. For now, Sakuri continues exploring. With a newfound determination, Sakuri explored the place, hoping to find a way to escape. Her determination was cut short as she encountered the butcher. There is no other way this time. She has to run. Running away like her life depends on it, Sakuri arrived in a room with 3 lockers. She tried opening them, but 2 of them were locked. Fear gripped her as the butcher inched closer to her. Luckily, the last locker is open and she hid herself in there just in time for the butcher to appear in the room. He stayed there for a while to ensure if he missed something before leaving. Sakuri breathed a sigh of relief. She survived. For now. A while back, while running away from the butcher, she passed by a green door. In that room, it led Sakuri to a long narrow hallway, and at the end, we see a fragile wall that with a knock revealed a small entrance, small enough for her to crawl in. Inside it, she found a small metal key that unlocks the door just outside of where Sakuri hides from the butcher. Opening the door reveals a room with a table with some kind of sludge on top of it, an event which led her to a room where she encounters the devil Mammon. A timer appears. Sakuri has 55 seconds to survive this ordeal. Alright, so this boss fight is pretty simple. So you have to survive for 55 seconds, and during that time, Mammon would bounce off the screen while releasing white cloud. Personally, Mammon is not the problem here. It's the white cloud that gave me a lot of trouble. The cloud can turn Sakuri into stone if she comes in contact with it 3 times. On top of that, we can't run because Sakuri was affected by the white cloud from earlier and she's partially petrified, which affects her movement. But with a little patience and clever timing, this boss is really easy. In fact, it's the 2nd easiest boss fight of the game. After the 55-second timer is up, Mammon, who grew bored of the situation because Sakuri just wouldn't die, dropped the key that would open the sewer grate and left. Sakuri was surprised, but it's better than dying. On her way to the sewer, she picked up a valve handle laying around and opened the sewer grate. Exploring the god-awful place filled with excrement and killer fish, Sakuri opened up a new path via the valve handle. This took her into a place where a button can be seen on the pedestal. Pushing it reveals a red door that led her to the most horrifying devil ever. Belphegor, a demon with the face of a man and the body of an insect. This creature is a nightmare, and worse, this time, there is no timer. She really has to fight it. Through sheer luck and determination, Sakuri managed to defeat the demon Belphegor. She obtained the Crescent Moon, an object that allows her to move to the next area. Wasting no time at all, she proceeded on. The next area that she's in is a bit different. It's a nice change of pace from the usual dark and bloody area. However, this place seems odd. The wall look as if it's pulsating. But as usual, Sakuri must continue if she ever wanted to leave. While exploring the place, she came across a ladder that took her up into a room with shadow people observing her as she made her way into the open door. Inside it, the long hallway seems endless. Confused by the situation, Sakuri descends the ladder and continues her exploration. After a while, she came across a room with 2 glowing objects on the floor. One of them is the key to a room, while the other put her to sleep. She picks up a decorated key, and while she can't see it, we as the player were given a glimpse of a gruesome scene in the next room. With this key, she is able to open a door which allows her to get the glass key. The glass key is used on the green room, which, to her relief, opens up to a room with a familiar face in it. Reese is back. Relief rushed over Sakuri. She can finally rest. After a brief moment of silence, Sakuri demands to know if she's in hell, and to her horror, Reese confirms it by asking her if she ever commits a sin. Sakura denies it, but the way Reese acted, he's not convinced. The two talk for a bit more before Sakura continues her exploration. She saw a ladder just below the room where Reese at and decided to check it out. To her surprise, she found another ladder and decided to climb up. As soon as she reached upstairs, she was met with the most horrifying scene. Multiple dismembered bodies scattered throughout the room, and one person even had their skin peeled up with a dagger stuck to its chest, and the word absolute repelling scratched onto the handle of the dagger. With this dagger, she might just be able to get through the infinite hallway. Returning back to that place, she finally reached the end of the hallway and found nothing. However, just as she's about to leave, she suddenly felt weird. Her head feels flushed. She wondered if she's gotten a cold, which is bad considering this is hell and I doubt medical care is available here. But then it got worse. She started feeling weirder and excited for no reason. Almost too excited as her hands reached down there before she snapped out of it. All of a sudden, something appeared. It's the demon Asmodeus. Alright, we gotta talk about this boss fight. It's one of the weirdest one I've fought so far. If you look closely, the shape of this boss resembles both female and male genitalia mashed into one grotesque being. And to top it off, it also shoots out white stuff. I'll leave that to your imagination. But the fight itself is not that hard, no pun intended. Dodge the white stuff 3 times, and then when it lunges at you, use the dagger to attack it. It took a total of 6 stabs to defeat its first form. Did I say first form? Yeah, I did. There's a second phase to this boss. One where it transforms into something that resembles a woman's reproductive organ. And it shoots out eggs as well. I'll leave that to your imagination. Through sheer good luck, Sakura did it again. She survived and defeated another demon. She wandered off and found the exit, and what she found next surprised her very much. It's her home. No way. Did she finally win? Is she really back from hell? Relief washed over her face as she realized that she's finally home. In the distance, a familiar voice calls out to her. It was her mother. She's calling her out for dinner. Sakura wasted no time and went straight to the kitchen. Along the way, she kept thinking, what exactly happened to her? How did she end up in hell? Well, it's all in the past now. She got back home safe. Her mother is there calling for dinner. Life is finally back to normal. Though she did feel bad for leaving Reese since she promised to live together with him. She can only hope that he'll find a way out. As soon as she opens the door to the kitchen, a horrifying scene of her mother gnawing on a corpse, the corpse of her sister. Her mother then calls out to her to eat dinner. Sakura was horrified. She's not home yet. She's still in hell. The figure of what was once her mother approached her slowly with a knife in hand. Sakura had no choice but to escape because if she's caught, she'll be eaten next. Exiting the kitchen, the place finally showed its true color. She's still in hell. Running past the smiling monster and into the bathroom just across the room, she found a window that took her outside and into another room. But inside that room, her mother waits for her, knife ready in hand, ready to kill her. Sakura slipped past her, avoiding her attack, and picked up a rusted key on the floor. The key opens up her sister's room, and inside, she saw her sister, or what's left of her, crawling on the floor. She had no choice but to avoid her as she's also become hostile like her mother. Finally, she arrived at the red door which led her to her room. Thinking she could be safe there, she enters it. But instead of being safe, the room is filled with yellow sticky substance and a round creature is in the corner of the room. As she gets close to it, something yellow started to grow. A timer appeared and she has 40 seconds to run away from the demon Beelzebub before it explodes and melts her away. Ignoring all the monster in her way and dodging her demonic mother, Sakura barely managed to escape the area. She's back in hell. Luckily, Reese is there so she can relax for a bit. Reese then explained to her that what she saw wasn't even her mother and sisters. It was hell playing tricks on her. With a newfound hope that her family is still alive out there, Sakura musters up courage and decides to continue on. There's only one place left to go before she reached the deepest part of hell, according to Reese. After a wholehearted conversation with him, she proceeds on, and what awaits her at the end of this hallway is the butcher himself. She tried to escape, but the door behind her mysteriously locked. Now, it really is her end. The butcher got close to her and raised his axe to attack, but just as he's about to do that, Reese appeared and blocked the axe. Surprised by this, Sakura wondered how he managed to get there, but Reese ignored her and tells her to move away quickly, as his shield is not strong enough to hold on. Reluctantly, she agrees and moves away, but tries to convince Reese again to go with her. When that didn't work, she was forced to move. In the end, we saw the lifeless body of Reese on the ground, and the butcher was nowhere to be seen. As soon as she's in a safe distance, Sakura, who is exhausted by this ordeal, fainted. When she woke up, Sakura was surprised to see herself naked. How and why it happened is something that Sakura and us as the player wondered, but she won't have the time to think about that as the butcher is back. Scared by this, Sakura runs away. As she left the area, shadow people appear out of nowhere, almost as if they're watching her. Sakura had enough. Even if she's scared, this thing that is stalking her has to go. It's either her or that butcher. While exploring this new area, she picked up two important items, Salamander and Undine. This item triggers a reaction in two different places where it spawns a magma spring and activates the freezer's cold spray. This gave Sakura an idea. What if she bait the butcher to these two places? With that newfound idea, she started her plan immediately. Luckily, the butcher is roaming around the magma area. She used herself as a bait and the butcher noticed her and immediately chased after her. She ran back towards the magma area, and as if luck was not good already, the magma spring erupted right as the butcher stands on top of it, damaging it in an instant. Sakura wastes no time and runs back towards the freezer area. By this time, the butcher is back on his feet and was on a hunt. She bait him again into the freezer and the cold blast hit it. She did it. The butcher is on his knee. Sakura breathed a sigh of relief knowing that the butcher can't move anymore. But all that is about to end as something crawled out of the butcher's back, something wriggling like an insect. Looking at it closer, it's the butcher's spine. It ran past Sakura and disappeared, but she knew where it went. She rushed back to the red door. This is it, the finale. She will finally face the boss of this area. Sakura entered the room and the fight began immediately. After painstakingly fighting the demon Lucifer's spine, she did it again. She managed to kill the demon. It dropped something called the Devil's Relief. This opens the door with this symbol which led her into the deepest part of hell. And as she entered the place, shadow people who's been observing her since the beginning can be seen. Still not knowing what it is, Sakura ignored them and proceeded on. She arrived at the place where a seal of some sort can be seen on the floor. Suddenly, a familiar voice calls out to her. She was surprised and happy at the same time because it was a voice that she knew all too well. It was Reese. He survived that confrontation. Confirming with him that this is the deepest part of hell, Sakura was ready to leave, but Reese says otherwise. She cannot even leave this place. He then explained that from the beginning, there was no way for her to leave. Sakura objected by saying that she endured a lot and had died multiple times. But then Reese revealed something shocking to her. She never had to worry about dying in the first place because this place never allowed anyone to die. He then revealed to her that Sakura had already experienced death a lot of time. Yet it was Reese who resurrected her and raised her memories so she may continue to reach the deepest part of hell. She couldn't believe what she just heard. Reese was puzzled by her reaction.
Wasn't this what you wished for?
Sakura denied it, claiming that what she wanted was to go back home. But then Reese asked for her to remember what she did. It was revealed here that Sakura was the one who summoned Reese in the first place through a ritual because she wanted to take revenge on someone. She then claimed that she thought it was all a joke in the first place and thought it wasn't real. Joke or not, Reese then praises Sakura for succeeding because no one did it for 9,000 years. As he's about to leave her to fulfill the contract, Sakura gathered her courage and decided to fight him off. Reese was obviously annoyed by this and tried to kill her, but something prevents him from killing her. Realizing that it was the intervention of those people, Reese had enough and decided to fight her. The fight was hard and brutal, but through her determination, Sakura overcame Reese and defeats him. After being defeated, Reese revealed that he was also in the same situation as Sakura, unable to die and leave this place. After he leaves, the memories of her dying a lot of times came back to her, and Sakura, unable to withstand it, goes crazy from it. The place suddenly changed back to the beginning level and a crawler appeared up to her. Realizing that death is painful because she can remember everything even if she died, she ran away. The game ended with someone repeating the same line that Sakura said at the beginning, and a familiar voice talked to that person. The cycle continues. So this was taken on a text file in the original Japanese release. In that text file, it details what happened after the event of Sakura's summoning and the aftermath. Since I'm not really good at Japanese, I'm using DeepL to translate most of the stuff here, so if there's something wrong with the translation, do let me know. The original Japanese text is in the description and also in the pinned comment. So the Omake mentioned that a strange case has been making rounds recently, presumably through the internet. It talks about the mysterious and bizarre nature of that case. The summary of that case goes like this. Around midnight of December 8, while Mr. Kunikai was not around, his house suddenly disappeared without a trace, leaving only a huge crater. People thought that it was caused by a gas explosion, but if that's the case, the neighbor would have heard the noise, and nearby houses would have also been affected. Yet the damage is non-existent. The possibility of the ground subsiding was also considered, but no traces were found at all. This is definitely a strange story, but if that's the only thing that happened, it would simply be ignored and be labeled as an accident of unknown origin. What happened afterward made the case more interesting. In the early morning of the 1st of May, a housewife was walking her dog in a park about 300 meters from her house when she found blood and a piece of meat-like object scattered all over the area. Some of it looked like a human finger, so the police were called. Around noon of the same day, a police officer found two bodies with limbs cut off and face shaven off in the playground equipment in the same park. Sounds familiar? Both bodies were badly damaged that identifying it was difficult, but it was determined that the body belonged to Eri Kunikai and Natsuna Kunikai, a housewife. The murder weapon used to kill both bodies were presumed to be a sharp blade. However, the murderer and the weapon were nowhere to be found. There was also a rumor that the housewife's saliva was all over the body, but it was dismissed as mere rumor. 3 days after the gruesome incident, a piece of clothing with blood on it was found on the spot where the Kunikai residence once stood. It belongs to Sakura Kunikai, and her whereabouts is unknown. The ending of Demonophobia didn't explain much on what exactly happened to Sakura. I bet no one would have ever figured it out since the Omake file, which is a file originally in the Japanese version of the game to explain what happened to her, was not included in the translated game. So why did she ended up in hell? Well, Sakura was probably bullied in real life. As we stated, he was summoned by her because she wanted revenge on somebody. Now, since she's heavily invested in the occult, that might be the reason why she was bullied. So by an act of desperation, she is willing to try anything, and that includes summoning a demon using a book about black magic to harm the people who bullied her. However, she thought it might not work, but if there's anything that the game taught us is that Sakura is crazy lucky. Her luck is so good that it even works against demons, and she always ended up winning. For the most part. So when she thought the summoning didn't work, it actually did work, and she summoned a powerful demon. One that needed a huge sacrifice. So she sacrificed her mother and her sisters to the demons. That established the contract and she cleared the first step. She then needed to do the second step, which is to reach the deepest part of hell by herself and release the seal of that demon. That is how she ended up in hell in the first place. She was determined to get this at all costs. She came to hell all naked, which is why near the end she doesn't wear anything. And This is not the game being weird and all, because if you look at the corpse scattered through hell, you'll notice that they don't wear clothes at all. So Sakura was determined to release this demon. However, even if her luck is crazy, this is hell and she is bound to die. So when she died, Reese, the demon who she summoned, was in charge of her. The higher being allowed the summoned demon to help the summoner. So it took him 3 days to revive her. Why 3 days? Because that's how long the body took to recover fully. Remember, death is non-existence in hell, so even if you die, you didn't die. You're technically alive and you're aware of everything. Which is horrifying because that means the corpse that the butcher dismembered at the beginning was actually alive and it felt all that pain. This also means Sakura also experiences the pain of dying. However, the difference is that she has Reese to take everything away and restore her body to the way it was before. Once she's revived, he took her memory away and then put her back in the beginning room. Now, as to why she kind of rebelled at the end and fight with Reese, well, the process of reviving her took her memory away and she might have died a lot. So little by little, she forgot that hatred she felt against the person that bullied her and forgot her true objective. Which is why at the end, even though she remembered everything, she no longer had that desire to take revenge, and instead, all she wanted was to just leave and go back home. However, there's a saying that goes, never make a deal with the devil. She pays the ultimate price of being stuck in hell forever. She lost her family, she lost everything, and at the end, she never even got to achieve her objective in the first place. She could live technically, but it's only at the end of time. And Reese mentioned that time flows differently in hell. 1 year in hell means a second in real life. So, like it or not, she is now stuck in hell forever. And with Reese gone, she has all her memories back, including the time she died and felt all pain. Remember when I said at the beginning, the R key is important? Whenever you die, you have to press R to restart the game. Well, it's not actually restarting. The R key could also mean something else. Revive. Every time you die in a game, it's canon event for her. Meaning that you press R, you're not actually restarting the game, you're reviving her. And every death that she experienced is actually real and canon to her. I hope you all enjoyed this video. To be honest, this is one of the most frustrating games I've ever played, but it's also one of the most intriguing game ever. There were times where I contemplated whether this is worth it or not. But my curiosity to know more of the game's story and what actually happened in this game led me to finish it. Let me know if you enjoyed this video and give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoy content like this. Thank you again, and I will see you in the next video.